Hi guys, welcome back to the Pushed Envelope Presents Adulting. Today I'm just going to be giving you a few tips about productivity. Tips about how I remain productive and how to remain productive as a new adult. I still consider myself learning to adult. There are things that help me keep productive. So I want to share some of those. Moving to a big city, especially at the time that I moved to a big city, and a different style of life, and also being alone and like separate from my family mostly and not having a car was a big transition for me, and just adapting to New York City. Everyone knows that New York City exists in its own little bubble, and it is one of the big cities that just operates differently. In LA, you're going to deal with a bunch of traffic, but you still drive, and it's just very different and more expensive. And a place like DC that exists in its own little bubble. In Atlanta is probably closer to where I came from as far as normalcy to me is concerned. A place like Chicago where you're also going to have public transit, you may or may not drive, there are different parts of town, and things aren't always as easy to get to or get done, if you know what I mean, especially when you're moving at that super fast pace. Number one thing that I use to keep me productive, or the number one thing that I'm going to mention, the number one thing that helps me be productive is just, I don't know, iron will or magic or the force of the gods. I don't know how I do it, to be quite honest, and it's not like I do a bunch. I just don't know how I get anything done at all. It's amazing. The first thing that I want to mention is using technology, including apps and everything that comes with your phone. So I use my notes app, of course, to write down little ideas and things. I brainstorm a lot when I'm on the train on my way to work. That is one thing that helps me a lot. I also use an app called Clear, C-L-E-A-R, Clear. It is a checklist app. I got it for free through Starbucks. I will mention lots of apps if I'm ever sharing app information or app suggestions. Apps that I got for free out of the Starbucks store. This was free to me, but it is a cheap app, and it helps me a lot because it manages several lists for you. You can set reminders on it, which is a newer feature that wasn't there when I first got this app. You can set reminders on different tasks on certain lists. So you can make separate lists. You can have a fitness list. You can have a work list. You can have an after work list. You can have a list of places that you want to try for brunch. You can have a list of things that you just want to remind yourself of. You can have a priority budget list. You can have the stuff you want to buy at Target list. You can have any kind of list that you want. And I love this app, number one, because it manages so many lists for me, and I can go back and I don't feel bad that I have like old lists in there because I'll use them eventually, and some of them are still relevant. And I also manage a consistent list that I use on a day-to-day basis that I just call my personal list. I scroll down, and one of my favorite features on this, aside from the reminders, is definitely that you can swipe something when it's done to one side and it just drops to the bottom with a line through it like, yes girl, you did that. You did that. You put it on this list and look what you did, that. And I can always scroll down to the bottom and look at like, I wasn't feeling so great about myself today. I hadn't gotten out of bed. It was like noon, and I just scroll down to the bottom and I'm like, but look at all this stuff that I've done before. Today may not be the day. But some days, I'm out here slaying the game, most days. So I use that, and also my calendar app, and I use it with the link to my Google Calendar, my email. You can do this, I believe, with Outlook, Google, Chrome, all this other stuff. If you have a non-iOS device, you can still use your calendar to sync to your email. And your email can send you alerts. You can always go on and make it bigger if you're on a bigger screen, or use different formats to view your calendar and schedule multiple events in a day, schedule all-day events, schedule very specific times, and it can help you block out your time if you're a person that runs a really tight shift. And is it ship or is it shift? If you're a person that runs a really tight schedule, you can go in there and do that. That's a question that Google can answer, but I'm in the middle of something right now. So I use that just to look over things, and before I make commitments, I always look at my calendar because I know what days I usually have off, but sometimes I will have picked up work. Sometimes I will have planned something way ahead, whether it be a month ahead. Sometimes I'll have jury duties. Sometimes I'll have something else to do. Sometimes I'll be out of town and I won't realize that I'm making plans for something that I'm not going to be here for or somewhere else for. So there's that. Number two, while you're using that app, be sure to create a schedule. creating a schedule that includes what you have to do and also what you want to do. Now, I know this seems like I'm using the same calendar information from the first one, but this is why this is important. Creating a schedule to make sure that you're not double booking things, and also to put in things that may not happen, but you would like to happen. So say I go to work one morning. I may not go to the gym after, but I would like for myself to be motivated enough to go to the gym after. Or I may want to go to the gym after and have every intention of going and really want to go, but need to go to the store or take care of something else, or edit a video, or prepare something, or use my home while no one is home, because that time is limited. And while I may remember to go work out, I may not remember to come home and film or edit or do some sound recording or whatever it may be when I only have that limited time. And that's really important, because sometimes we'll forget about those little things, and you'll go to the gym and you'll feel great about yourself, and then you get out of the gym and you're like, oh my crap, I could have been doing something so much more important at that time. So yeah, create a calendar of things you want and things that are just possible and that you would like to happen, and things that you absolutely have to do. Number 3. My number 3 tip is a huge one, and it is to trust yourself. To remain productive, you have to trust that you are going to be the one doing all these things. You are the one who has done all those things that are in your Clear app that are already checked off, because you're so amazing, and that you are the one making the decisions, and that you've done all these things before. My number 3 tip is to trust yourself. I have to step back sometimes and just tell myself, you know what, you're really smart and you don't give yourself enough credit. And I think everybody should take time to do that. Because tell me if this hasn't happened to you. Say you want to put aside some money for something, and you think ahead of time and you go, you know what, I'm gonna pay for this thing on PayPal, and it connects right to my bank account, but it takes a few days, so sometimes I'll forget that the money's gonna come out of my account. And you load up your PayPal. This is just an example of doing something proactive. So you load up your PayPal with the money and you're like, oh, it's already taken care of. And then the purchase comes around and you look at your bank account and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't save the money for this. And you go into your PayPal and you're like panicking, you're like, I can't do it. And you look in your PayPal and you're like, oh, I already loaded it up with money. And you think to yourself, wow, how did I know to do that? You know, why didn't I think that I would have already done that? And why did I think that I would just be so unprepared about it? As if we're not always unprepared for something. I would answer myself, because you're very smart and you don't give yourself enough credit for all the smart things that you do. You're very smart and you just don't give yourself enough credit. So take time to tell yourself that. Take time to trust yourself and remind yourself of the things that happen where you just did something proactively, or put something somewhere in your house and you're like, how did I know to put this here? Because you're smart and you don't give yourself enough credit. So things of that sort, that is really just about being proactive and just trusting yourself that when you do those, that you will do those things. Trusting yourself to know that all the things that are in your Clear app as checked off, you did. And if you prioritize one thing over another, trust that you're making the right decision. Sometimes I'm saying to myself, should I be working out? Should I pick up this shift? Should I spend this money here? Should I go here during this time? Should I go to Target at this time? Should I be sleeping in? Should I be resting myself? Should I be pushing myself a little bit more? Should I really have that next glass of wine? Trust yourself. It's not always yes, it's not always no, but trust yourself that you're going to do the right thing, and that you will make a way to take care of things. And if nothing else, know that you are responsible. You're the one in charge. You're paying the bills. If somebody else has something on the bills, hold them responsible, or ask them, trust them more than you trust yourself. But if they're not, and you're actually out here adulting and trying to keep these bills paid and stay productive and do the right thing, trust yourself. And my number 4 tip is just to take breaks. Take breaks. It's just a really simple tip as far as like mental health. You can watch some of my Self-Care Sunday videos on how to unwind and take days for yourself, and take days where you are not productive in a sense of going to a store, finishing a task, editing a video, going to do a job, booking a job, finding work, finding on an audition, running a race, responding to emails. Those are not always the things that you need to be doing. Sometimes being productive means being productive with yourself and taking a break and doing whatever you want to do, whether it be taking a walk or reading a book or listening to your favorite podcast or sleeping longer or taking a bath or going for a run, cooking yourself something nice, having a drink, spending time with your friends, inviting your friends over. All of these things. Take breaks to do those things because those are important too, and that is part of productivity. And I know we have been fed this information that makes us feel like those are not things that are that we're going to be rewarded for, but they are, and you'll start to see that more. So yes, take breaks. That is my number 4 tip. So Beyonce's favorite number is 4, so I felt like 4 tips was enough. I didn't want to make this too long. I talk a lot. You all need to go be productive. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. And also, I just wanted to make this really short and sweet. I call it an aperitif because it's just something to help you digest all of this. And just a little nugget to go at the end. And my last tip is going to be to do stuff in your bed. Do stuff in your bed. Answer emails. Go through whatever you have to go through on the internet. Spend some time on Pinterest. Register for some stuff. Put in some requests off at work. Or pick up some shifts at work. Submit for some auditions at work. Submit for some auditions. Read, listen to something, stare at the ceiling, watch the ceiling fan. That's my nephew's favorite thing to do. Do it in your bed. So go get some stuff done. Please leave any questions, comments, extra tips below on how you keep productive and how you keep adulting without letting it all go down in the DMs. I could not resist that. It was like the a week ago thing. Anytime someone says a week ago, we're all just